All right, let's jump right into this explainer. We're looking at a completely fascinating shift happening right now with unidentified anomalous phenomena. Yeah, UFOs. We're going to break down some absolutely wild insights from the legendary theoretical physicist, Dr. Michio Kaku. By looking at his recent statements and data, we can really grasp the sheer magnitude of what's going down. We are literally leaving the rumor mill behind and stepping, finally, into a realm of hard, verifiable science.
Look, for decades, this whole topic has been totally buried in mystery, stigma, and just endless speculation, right? You'd hear a crazy story, maybe see a super blurry, out-of-focus photo, but that was kind of it. Well, recent developments are showing us a massive paradigm shift. The big question we're tackling today is, are we actually moving past that era of just, he said, she said, eyewitness hearsay? Are we finally stepping into the realm of verifiable science? Because it really feels like we're standing at the edge of a totally new scientific frontier.
To get a grip on that, let's see what Dr. Michio Kaku has to say. In a recent interview, he was asked to rate his excitement about all these classified UFO files finally seeing the light of day on a scale of 1 to 10. He didn't even hesitate. Quote, "I would put it at a 10 because we're at a turning point." Wow. I mean, this isn't just some fringe researcher talking. This is one of the most respected theoretical physicists on the planet explicitly telling us this declassification is a pivotal moment in modern history. Okay, Section 1, the UFO turning point. Let's look at this historical shift. To really get why a physicist of his caliber thinks this is such a big deal, we got to look at how things used to be. Historically, what did we actually have as evidence? Dr. Kaku points out that for years, we relied completely on anecdotal eyewitness accounts. He specifically mentioned reports from, housewives and truck drivers. And honestly, they were usually just met with snickering and laughter. The whole thing was treated like a joke. But today, man, the reality is entirely different. We are looking at massive, top-secret government files that are finally, despite huge reluctance from agencies like the CIA and FBI, being released to the public and to actual independent scientists. And here's why that's a real game changer. This massive release of info basically bypasses the traditional institutional filters. Dr. Kaku stressed that having these files out in the open means independent researchers can dive in. We don't have to just sit around waiting for intelligence agencies to tell us what to think anymore. This declassified data finally gives independent minds the power to dig into the evidence and come up with their own objective, data-driven conclusions based on real metrics, not just campfire stories. Moving on to Section 2, defying laws of physics. Let's talk about these impossible maneuvers. So, once we actually look at the data, what's it telling us about what these things can do? Well, according to the declassified military intel, these crafts are moving in ways that blatantly break our understanding of aerodynamics. First off, rapid vertical ascending and descending. Second, violent high-speed zigzags. And third, they are pulling off instantaneous 90-degree sharp turns at absolute blinding speeds. Just think about the physics there. The inertia involved in an object flying thousands of miles an hour and instantly snapping 90 degrees. No way. It's the kind of flying that would instantly total any human-made vehicle.
And that brings up a pretty brutal biological reality. Dr. Kaku lays down a very blunt truth about these maneuvers. He says, quote, "The law of force should crush the bones of anyone in it." Think about it. Any human pilot, or honestly any biological entity with a skeleton like ours, trying to pull those maneuvers, they'd be physically destroyed. The G-forces from an instantaneous 90-degree turn at those speeds would just shatter their bones and literally turn them to jelly.
So, because basic science tells us no known biological entity could survive those bone-crushing forces, we're kind of boxed into a corner here. Surviving these extreme flight paths means we're likely looking at a highly advanced, non-human automated system. If there's no pilot in there getting their bones cracked, we are talking about an unbelievably high level of intelligence that has mastered automated computer technology way, way beyond what we can do. Actually, scratch that. It's completely off the charts for human capability right now. All right, Section 3, the global energy race. It's a literal fight for the tech. You see, figuring out how these things fly isn't just some fun puzzle for physicists. It has massive, earth-shattering geopolitical implications. Superpowers around the world, we're talking nations like Russia and China, are in a dead sprint to figure this out. Governments and top-tier labs, places like Los Alamos and the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, are hunting for breakthrough technologies here. Alternative energy sources, advanced fusion, maybe even antimatter. Whoever figures this out doesn't just win the geopolitical lottery, they completely revolutionize human existence. Imagine never having to worry about a power bill ever again. But, as you can probably guess, with stakes this insanely lucrative, things get a little dark. The interview brought up some pretty intense whistleblower allegations suggesting that the hunt for this tech might actually be linked to the mysterious disappearances of top energy scientists. Dr. Kaku noted that researchers looking into these advanced energy fields have reportedly just vanished out of thin air or died under super questionable circumstances. The implication is definitely chilling. Someone desperately wants this technology, and they're willing to go to absolute extremes to secure it.
Section 4. Demand for physical proof. We need tangible evidence.
So if the stakes are this high and the physics are this wild, we simply can't rely on blurry videos or radar blips anymore. Dr. Kaku emphasizes that true scientific validation demands a close encounter of the second kind. What does that mean? It means no more visual hearsay. It's not just, oh, I saw some weird lights last night. We need an authentic pound of flesh. We need the whole shebang, a physical body, or actual tangible wreckage from a craft. Science needs physical materials sitting on a lab bench, not just stories to interpret. Right now, the scientific community has 3 massive goals mapped out. Step 1. Dig through these mountains of declassified files and find proof that we've actually recovered craft or biological samples. Step 2. If we have bodies, maybe those small-statured entities the intelligence officials keep hinting at, we need to run rigorous, comprehensive autopsies. And Step 3. Get our hands on the craft itself and reverse engineer that propulsion engine. That is exactly how we turn this from a mystery into applied science.
But here's the catch, and Dr. Kaku makes a brilliant point about trust here. We absolutely cannot just leave this testing behind the closed doors of government agencies. No way. To have real transparency, we need independent scientific committees. We need the world's brightest minds dissecting these samples completely out in the open. They need to map the DNA, if they even have DNA, right? And map out their fundamental biological architecture to figure out exactly what we're dealing with.
Which leaves us with this massive, mind-bending thought to chew on. As we stand on the edge of this data revolution, just waiting for that definitive pound of flesh, we've got to ask ourselves, if and when an independent scientific committee finally gets to dissect these samples, what are they going to find? Are we going to discover some parallel evolutionary track like distant cosmic cousins, or are we going to stare down an entirely alien biological architecture that we couldn't even dream of? The declassified files have blown the door wide open. Now it's up to science to walk through it. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep your eyes on the data.